Welcome back, guys, to another video. I just got through listening to an interview by this guy named Uncle Neely on DNVR Sports. This is related to Colorado Buffaloes football, and he was giving his take on the situation in regards to all the the transfers with Dylan Edwards leaving, with Cormani leaving, with Alton McCaskill leaving, and Wilkerson leaving, and he was giving his take on it and giving his own perspective and talking about the things that he saw from his end. Now, what I did not like, I'm going to start off with what I did not like. And it's you have to think about it. Uncle Neely, he works for Colorado Buffaloes. He's part of that staff, right? He came from Jackson State. He followed Coach Prime. So he's not going to say anything that's going to be counter Coach Prime or counter Colorado. He's not going to say anything that's going to be against the university. So his whole mantra and his whole theme was that these guys were not ready for competition. That's a deliberate lie. I'm going to tell you why it's a lie. And again, I already had somebody calling me a hater on my other video, so you guys love to call me that. That's fine. You can continue to call me a hater, but I'm going to implore you to use your mind for a second and think. The first year when Coach Prime came to Colorado, he brought in a crop of players, a slew of players. The running back room, they all had this camaraderie and this chemistry together. They all said, hey, look, we don't care who gets most of the touches. We're all going to support one another. We all have special skill sets that we bring to the table. I remember specifically watching interviews with Dylan Edwards and some of the other running backs talking about, hey, we don't care who's number one. Any one of us can explode. Did they not have competition then? Why did Alton McCaskill, why did he stay? If he was afraid of competition, why did he stay? If Dylan Edwards was afraid of competition, why did he stay? If Wilkerson was afraid of competition, why did he stay? Even the other guy that came from Kentucky, I believe, Cavassier Smoke, I believe that was his name. If he was afraid of competition, why did he stay? So this idea that all of a sudden Coach Prime is telling guys that nothing's guaranteed, that you're going to have to compete to play, he's always said that. And players didn't leave before. And even if players feel as if they've established themselves on the roster and Coach Prime does bring in somebody, according to Uncle Neely on DNVR Sports, he said that, a guy from a running back from Ohio State was brought there and they moved him up to number 2 or something like that. Look, that's not the reason why these players are leaving. These players are not leaving, because it's competition, let me leave. No. Everyone knows the only positions on the team that are solidified is the quarterback position, Travis Hunter's position, DB and wide receiver, Shiloh Sanders, and probably a couple of more guys who have their spots pretty much solidified. The running back room is filled with a bunch of talent. No one's going there saying, I have to be the number one guy. So this rhetoric that Uncle Neely is talking about, that the players did not want to compete, that's a lie. The guys want to compete. They want to be successful. They understand that team success equates to individual success. They're not in there for themselves. So he pretty much implies, Uncle Neely pretty much implies that Dylan Edwards left because he didn't want to compete. Okay? And there was no other better situation that he was in than the one that he was in Colorado. Well, how can you say that? Because if he was in the best situation ever, why would he leave, Uncle Neely? See, you're avoiding the truth, but it's okay. You work for Coach Prime. You work for that college football team. You're part of that program. So I don't expect you to get on social media and say the truth. You're going to speak as a person that's toting the company line. You're going to say the things that are directly, linked and associated with your team, with Colorado Buffaloes football, that's going to be positive. You're not going to paint a negative picture. Then he talks about Alton McCaskill. Same thing with him. He didn't want to compete. That's why these guys are leaving. Coach Prime didn't promise anybody anything. No, that's not the reason why these guys are leaving, man. That's not the reason why. The players are leaving. This is my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. And I want you guys to create your own opinion. Just don't go off what people say. We know for the first year that competition was always there. Coach Prime was echoing the same sentiments back then. He kept talking about, hey, I don't care what you were in high school. If you were a 5-star in high school, there are no stars here. You start all over. You got to earn your keep. You have to earn your keep. Those were the exact words of Coach Prime. So all of a sudden the players, they hear that, they want to run now. No, that's not why they left. They're leaving because they see a lot of deficiencies and gaps in the program. These players talk. These players trust me, these players talk to other players on other teams, and they're saying how things are ran there. Okay? And don't leave a comment on my page telling me that, oh, why are you so hard on black people? You don't talk about white coaches. I don't give a damn about white coaches. I don't care about white coaches. Yeah, I'm pro melanated people. I'm gonna critique my house first. I'm not gonna talk about my neighbor's house when I have problems in my own house. I'm gonna critique my own people first. And that's really love, because people critique what they love and they're passionate about things they love. If I didn't care about football, and if I didn't care about Coach Prime, and if I didn't care about the success of the football team, I wouldn't be spending my breath and my time talking about it. I want to see them successful, but I also want to see things done in the right way, and I don't want to see people slandered or seeing people's names being dragged through the mud. This idea, and then let me continue on the path, because I sort of digressed here for a little bit. Uncle Neely talked about Cormani. He stayed on him for a while, saying, hey, Coach Prime will come up to him and say, you got to do these things to start. I'll start you if you do these things. And he says that Cormani would not check any of the boxes, that Coach Prime would give him 4 specific things to do. Be on time for meetings, watch a certain amount of videos or whatever, do something else. It was 4 things he mentioned. And he says Cormani would check the boxes of what not to do. He would not do any of them. So my question is, so you have to, when you listen to people speak, you have to be able to take the information that you already have and apply it to what they said, so you can contextualize the information to get a clearer understanding of what they're trying to say. What Uncle Neely is doing, he's playing on the ignorance of the audience, because he wants you to believe that this is something that Cormani was doing all the time. That's not true. I said this before in my past video. I'm sure there were times that the immaturity of Cormani came into play. I'm sure it did. It did. He's a young freshman. I'm sure it did. It did. I'm not saying he was a perfect. No, it did. Definitely, without a doubt, without equivocation. I know exactly that some of the things that they said he did it. Now, let's get context. Was this something that he did all the time? Because there were some games he did start. There were some games that he did play. So are you saying that he still didn't check those boxes and Coach Prime still put him in? The stories have to make sense, Uncle Neely. It has to make sense. So let's say the times that he did not start. I guess those were the times that he did not watch film, or he was missing meetings and so on and so forth. What about the times that he did start? What about the times that he did play? What did he do? So you have to contextualize that information. I don't believe the guy was always late to meetings. I think that's the narrative that they're trying to paint about Cormani. That's not the truth. And then the reporter, I forgot his name, some white guy was reporting, interviewing Uncle Neely. He says, well, yeah, Cormani, he's not getting any big time offers besides, what did he say? Colorado State. I think he says CSU, which is a something division. And he says FSU, he's not getting any big offers. So it's almost as if they're saying, yeah, he's getting what he deserves. He's a horrible player. He's a horrible teammate. He has horrible work ethic. Now he wants to take shots at Colorado. But guess what? Nobody wants him. It doesn't matter if nobody wants him. Somebody wants him. And trust me, wherever he goes, if he does well, he can still make it to the NFL. You don't have to go to a big-time program to be drafted. We have many guys in the NFL. He didn't go to top-notch colleges and still got drafted. So if he balls out and goes wherever he goes and plays well, he'll get drafted. He has the physique. He has the tangibles in terms of his attributes, his height. All right, he's very long. All right, pause. His height. I mean, he's very long, and he'll be fine. So painting the picture, and to me, that shows me a little bit of immaturity on the part of Uncle Neely, because I wouldn't say anything about what they did. I would keep that in house. Why even mention what Cormani was doing? So it's almost like you are doing the bidding of Coach Prime. Well, now, Coach Prime is not going to do that because he has to save face. Coach Prime is going to play the role of the I'm above all that. I'm above all the haters. Don't let my confidence let your perceived arrogance of me do something to your insecurities. It's a certain saying that Coach Prime likes to use a lot. So he likes to position himself as a person that's above the nonsense, holier than thou. So what does he do? He sends his minions to do the talking for him. The sentiments of Uncle Neely on DNVR are the same sentiments of Coach Prime's. Just Coach Prime won't say it. But if Coach Prime was running a tight program, he would tell anybody, don't mention anything about these players. Let them go about their way. Wish them the best. Don't mention anything that they did here. Once they're out of our program, they're not a part of us. Let's keep it that way. The fact that this Uncle Neely guy is on there talking about the things that Cormani did not do and did do lets me know that it's a little bit of immaturity on his part. It's like tit for tat. I don't believe Cormani did all those things. I believe he did some of those things, but I don't think, because the way they stated, you would think, all right, if you don't have the full information, that this was something that he did every week. Do we hear sometimes how he had a good practice? Wouldn't we hear stories about how he was dedicated this week, he did the right things? How come we're not hearing about the positive things of Cormani? Why didn't Cormani leave? So answer this question, Uncle Neely. Did Cormani leave because he didn't want competition? Because that was your main premise, is that these players are leaving because they don't want to compete. And that's a blemish on their name. The worst thing you can tell an athlete is that you don't want to compete, that you're a quitter. You might as well curse them out. All athletes compete. Inevitably, they have to compete. If they're not competing against their own teammates to get a roster spot or to get more playing time, they're competing against their opposition. Competition is in the realm of sports. It's an indelible part of sports. You cannot separate it. So to tell an athlete you did not want to compete, that's an insult, Uncle Neely. You know what you were doing. Those words were very calculated. You're a smart man. You know exactly what you were saying. These players don't want to compete. Coach Prime already said that. They didn't want to compete. Nothing's guaranteed. Okay. So they're all leaving because they don't want to compete? No, that's not the reason why. That's not the reason why. It's not about somebody wanting to be number one and they realize they're not number one, so they left. They're seeing that the program is not being ran like a true football program. It's a clown show. It's a circus. And there's too many people in front of the camera, and there's too many people talking about Colorado football. Not people like me. I'm talking about people within the organization. It's more talking than action. And when you have more talking than action, you get exposed on game day. You start to lose games. Because during the prep season, you were doing too much talking. All right? So that's my take on that. I don't believe that the players left because they didn't want competition. And I don't believe the narrative that's being painted about Cormani, about him being some guy that was missing, that was coming late to meetings and not watching videos. You're trying to tell me he's the only one not watching? So you're trying to tell me everybody on the team is watching videos the same amount, like in terms of the hours. I don't know how many hours Coach Prime is telling them that they have to watch. So everyone is doing it perfectly, and he's the only one? Get out of here, guys. No, I don't believe that. I believe he has some hiccups as a freshman, as all youth does, and I just believe that they're using that against him. And it's okay. I'm glad he left, and I'm glad he spoke his piece. And yeah, then they mentioned something about, well, his high school coach is saying something about him too. So now everyone's coming out against him. You know why the high school coach is saying something about him now? The high school coach didn't say anything before, but you know why the high school coach is saying something now? Because he's a blind supporter of Coach Prime. See, people who blindly support Coach Prime will turn on their own players. I don't know Coach Prime. I'm a supporter of him initially when he came out. I still support him. I'm not going against him. I don't want him to fail. But I'm going to point out things that I see that are wrong. And if that makes me a hater, so be it. It makes me a thinker. Thinkers have to think. You have to remove your emotions and insert thinking sometimes. And sometimes the truth will hurt, but you have to accept it. It's part of being an adult. Being in La La Land, being a child and saying, oh, all things are great, everything's peaches and cream, that's a nonsensical way of thinking. It's illogical. Quite frankly, it's not even rooted in reality. So I don't care what you guys think of me if you think I'm a hater, but I'm not. I think that coach that made those comments, I don't know specifically the comments he made about Cormani, his high school coach, but why now? You were for Cormani when he went with Prime, but now that he's left, you want to talk bad about him. No player is perfect, guys. Players in high school, they have their diva-ish kind of mentality. They have their sense of entitlement because all through life they've gotten by due to their athletic prowess. So I'm not shocked when a kid shows their immaturity or they show their a little bit of being spoiled or some sort of like a brattish type of attitude. I get that. So now we're going to start pointing out all his little flaws. That's fine. A young man, 18, 19 years old, we're going to start nitpicking at him. You're the adult, Uncle Neely. Coach Prime is the adult. Bring that boy in. But the program is not ran right. It's not ran right. And it's a reason why everyone keeps saying the substance and the click stuff. It's a reason why they're saying that. Don't be surprised if Cormani has a good season, wherever school he goes to. Don't be surprised. You don't think he has a chip on his shoulder to prove the world wrong? Nah, man. Don't let them paint the picture of that man like that. And that's the narrative that they're sending out there. So people are thinking that that's what he is. That's not what he is. If he was that way, he would just stay there. He left because he wants to prove something to himself and go to a better situation. He wants to be developed. He actually said that. I like his work ethic. I believe that he just fell into the wrong program. And his first year was a wash. It was a wash. He wasn't brought along at all. And then Uncle Neely's naming names. Yeah, Sap. He named some DBs that are there working with the secondary. He was like, why wouldn't you want to be here? So every time they talk, it's all about promo. They're always promoting their brand or promoting the team, saying, oh, we have this, we have that. But if you guys have all that, why the hell are people leaving? Why are people who are already there leaving if it's so great? Because they don't want competition. No. That's a poor ass excuse. Give me a better reason, Uncle Neely. Oh, you can't. You work for Coach Prime. You can't do that. All right? You'll lose your pension. You'll be in the doghouse. You can't do that. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. I understand. I wouldn't either. I'm not telling you something that I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do that either. I wouldn't be working for a football team. And even if I knew the truth, I wouldn't go out there on social media and say it. Right? I wouldn't do that. But I wouldn't go as far as condemning anybody. I would just play the politically correct card and stay in that lane and not go on any further. All right. Anyway, man, that's my take on that, man. I don't believe a word he said. I don't think the players are leaving because they don't want competition. That's crazy. An athlete doesn't want to compete. Get out of here. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think. All right. Bye.